Welcome back, dear listeners, to Fright or Flight, the podcast where we rank, recap, and review every horror movie in a given franchise.
I'm Jumpscare Jer, and or Geraldine, whichever you want to call me. I am the Fright of the podcast.
And my name is Frankie. I'm the Flight of the podcast.
And today we're talking Saw 7, Saw 3D, or Saw the Final Chapter, whichever one you want to call it, where clout chasing has a rewarding punishment.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Brace yourselves for the final descent into the abyss of pain and punishment as we dissect the relentless horror of Saw 7, the final chapter. Or Saw 3D, however, yeah, there's so many titles for this one.
Can't keep up.
It's a fittingly gruesome farewell to the most infamous franchise in horror history. Or is it?
Or is it?
Now, Geraldine, what are your general feelings about Saw 3D 7, the final chapter?
This was probably my absolute favorite.
Controversial queen, Geraldine. That is very, I don't know if you know. This one's the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
What's so funny? I had the most fun watching this one.
You enjoyed it, huh?
A lot.
Yeah. That's interesting. A lot of people hate this movie. They dog on it super hard.
I loved it. So many twists and turns.
If I'm being honest with you, I also enjoyed it. I was along for the ride. I do think this movie has a lot of flaws, but ultimately, like, I had a blast with it.
Yeah.
What did you think about the 3D of it all?
It would have been really, really cool to see it in 3D.
Yeah, right. Have you ever seen any movies in 3D?
Yeah. I saw Coraline in 3D. That was
cool.
That was a great time for 3D.
That's awesome.
I've seen several other movies, but I just can't think of them at the moment. Not a lot, honestly.
Not
I don't
a
really
lot.
go to the movie theater to watch 3D movies.
Fair enough. They give me a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I also wear glasses, so you're wearing the glasses on top of your glasses. It's not a great
And you feel
time.
like a nerd, and you feel like a dork. You know,
so not only
it's
are your four
fourth grade
eyes,
all over
you got
again.
6 eyes at that time.
Yeah.
So.
Now, this movie came out during a 3D craze kind of time period in the late 2000s. They had thought about doing a 3D movie since Saw 6, but they didn't have the budget time. They just weren't ready, but they were prepared to do it for Saw 7. Other movies that were doing it at the time included Piranha, had a 3D movie, and there was a 3D Final Destination film. And I think they actually have a couple.
I don't remember. I haven't seen every single one of the Final Destinations. I've seen a lot of them, but I don't remember them being 3D. I've always watched it on DVD.
I am so excited to watch the Final Destination movies for the show.
Me too.
I'm also not familiar with them. I've seen one. I'm pretty sure I've seen like all of one, but I don't remember very well. But something about it, like the Rube Goldberg machine of it all, makes me like super interested.
It's very fun. Very, very fun.
Okay, so I'm really excited to do that one. This movie is the last one in the franchise. It's the last one because Saw 6 didn't perform very well.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think, unfortunately, like me and you both really like Saw 6. But I think a big problem was just Saw 5 just ruined it for the whole... It basically killed the franchise,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I mean, if I was not being forced, well, not really forced, I'm not being forced to watch these movies. Like, you're like holding a gun to me under the table, like, talk about the movies. If I wasn't watching them with the purpose for like a podcast or something, then I probably would have stopped also at Saw 5. But I'm really glad that I continued because Saw 6 was great and I loved Saw 7.
A lot of people say that after a certain point, the series gets really bad.
My mom has said that. My family has repeatedly been like,
Do you know which one?
Just in general, they were like, it's the same movie over and over and over again. And I'm like, yeah, but so are the Scream series. Like,
So is Leatherface.
So yeah, literally
Yeah.
so many franchises are doing the same thing over and over again. But I guess for whatever reason, they just weren't interested in this one. And I was like, I enjoy it. I don't know.
Okay, well, here's the cast and the director talking about the movie being the last one. Yeah, and that was the director, the gentleman that plays Hoffman, and the person that plays Jill, talking about the ending of the franchise.
Fun. Okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them would have been down to continue the series, especially, I think his name is Kostas Mandalore.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about, like, if you ever see interviews around this time, he's always like, you know, if everybody comes out, they might let us do another one. Mm-hmm. But the movie actually ended up doing pretty good at the box office. It is the most expensive movie that Saw franchise has done to date at the time, with a budget of $17 million.
Nice.
Which, you know, the original film was $1 million. So to go all the way to 17 is a lot. And it made $136 million at the box office. So this one did perform, but a lot of the time it's like, if you end something with like the excitement of it being the last one, people won't return
For the future ones.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, you kind of lied to us.
Right. Because I was explaining it to my boyfriend. He was like, so which one is this one? I was like, so we're talking about Saw 7. I was like, it says Saw 7, the final chapter. Also, Saw 7 is also known as like Saw 3D. And he was like, how are you going to call it the final one? And there's more after that. He's like, that's some bullshit. And I was like, I mean, I didn't make the series, so like.
Well, I guess they definitely intended this to be like the final one, so it wasn't a lie.
They left on a good note, and they left it at a spot where they could have been done.
Yeah, and also between this one and the next film, Jigsaw, is 7 years.
Yeah.
So that's not like they picked up the sequel. Like this ran for 7 years straight. It's not like they lied and did another one a year or two later. Like it wasn't until almost a decade that they revived the franchise.
Right.
Have you seen the movie poster for this film?
I have not, but I'm looking at it right now, and it is gorgeous.
It's gnarly, isn't it?
It is.
It looks like it's John Kramer as like a giant building or something, and be like a bunch of scaffolding being worked on him. I don't know if this carries any like significance or metaphor kind of thing to the franchise. Do you think?
I'm not sure. Sometimes it's hard for me to read into things because as much as I like love like analyzing things, I feel like my interpretations either I overthink things to like an nth degree where it's like too far, where I'm like I almost like ruin it essentially.
I have no clue. Well, I don't have my own interpretation of this one. It gives me like concert vibes, if I had to be honest. Like it's a show.
Yeah, like putting on a final show.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
But again,
can I tell you?
Oh.
My interpretation is that they're trying to build up to the reputation of Jigsaw. They're trying to rebuild the reputation of Jigsaw in his image.
That does make sense. It does make sense with some of this stuff going on.
So in a weird way, you see like the inner workings, and they're trying to like make it, but it's not completely right. He's not finished yet.
This some behind the scenes information about this film. The producers on this movie said they combed through the message boards online to see what the fans have been waiting to see in making it, which I think is super cool. I mean, a lot of the things like that they have been saying online, like I don't know if you've seen the movie poster for Saw 3, but it has some teeth on it.
Yeah.
Well, there was never a tooth trap related until now in this movie.
I did not like that one. That one was tough to watch because it makes my teeth hurt watching somebody do that, even though it's fictional. It's a movie.
I mean, who likes going to the dentist?
Not me.
You know, I'm not a big fan. I had a lot of cavities as a child, so they had to.
Yeah, I always had cavities every time I went in.
Did you? Do you have a sweet tooth?
I do have a sweet tooth.
Yeah. And you still don't brush your teeth?
No, I brush my teeth.
You do brush 3 times a day?
2 times a day.
2 times. I think they say you're supposed to do it 3 times after every meal.
Do you do it 3 times a day?
I did it on the way here in the car.
Yeah, right.
I had some mouthwash to swig it out and, into somebody's porch.
What a troll. Yeah.
Several of the actors from previous films were offered to come back. And, obviously some did, as we'll talk about later. But some didn't due to scheduling conflicts. Originally, they wanted Eric Knudsen, the actor that portrayed Daniel Matthews.
Yes, I was hoping that I would see him because they brought a lot of different people back. And I was like, ooh, I love when they do this.
Well, unfortunately, he aged out of the role at the time. When you're an adult, like I feel like you don't age that much.
Yeah.
But then, like when you're a kid in a movie, you're gonna look super old in just a few years.
But he wasn't a kid in the movie. Like he really wasn't that young.
He looked like 15 to me.
He still has a baby face to me. Like even when he was in Scream, he looked really young to me.
What do you think about the Stranger Things kids?
What about him?
People are complaining all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, these guys look like 30-year-olds and like they're supposed to be playing kids.
I mean, what do you expect? It's Hollywood. They always have like 30-year-olds playing like teenagers. I don't care that much. I enjoy their acting and I've, invested my time in watching the show. So I'm still going to watch it.
If you were offered a role to play a teen, would you do it?
I look young. I feel like I could do it.
A 15-year-old?
Maybe not 15. 15's pushing it.
16?
Maybe like 18. I could be 18.
Oh, yeah, that's an adult by that point.
But it's still a teenager by literally the name of the number is 18 and then you have 19. So
yeah,
they're still teens.
You're not wrong.
Exactly.
As far as the film being shot in 3D, it was actually shot on 3D cameras.
That's cool.
A lot of films end up being produced and created just regularly with normal cameras, and then after the fact, in post-production, they add all the 3D elements in. So this one was filmed in 3D. It actually created a lot of problems on set, though, because the cameras apparently are super finicky. And, you have to, think about how you're going to shoot it. Everybody has to move. You have to take several more takes to make it work. Unfortunately for 3D movies, they can only be enjoyed that time while they're in the theater. in that 3D aspect. Because
Yeah, I mean, well, I enjoyed Coraline 3D so much that when they released it on DVD back in like 2009, 2010 or whatever, the DVD came with like 3D sunglasses, so you could wear them at home and watch it in 3D or 2D.
did that work?
Yeah, it did. I
don't know why I'm so skeptical of
I would
that.
always forget which side was 3D, so then I would go watch it for like the 2D, and then I'd be like, "Oh, this is really fuzzy," and I'd be like, "Oh shit, it's because 3D." So then I
I
have to flip
miss
it.
the red and blue glasses.
They actually were different. They were green and purple. It was
Really?
cool. Yeah.
I think they look so much cooler than the ones now that just look like sunglasses.
I also miss those. They're very nostalgic.
Yep. Here is the landscape for the movie. The movie came out in 2010.
Long time ago.
I don't know if you remember this. I just said that just normally, right? Like that's just how it came out of my mouth. I didn't think about this. But in 2010, there was a debate among experts and the general public on how to pronounce specific years in the 21st century. The year 2010 is pronounced either 2010 or 2010.
I did 2010. That's how I said it.
And 2010 was the first year to have wide variation in pronunciation, as the years 2000 to 2009 were generally pronounced 2001 and 2 and 3, as opposed to the last come in 2000, like in the 1900s. You'd say 1904,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't say 2004, 2005. You know what I mean?
Hate that. Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
But I remember people, like we call it 2023, right?
Right.
But if it was 2000 standard, we'd be calling it 2023.
I mean, I don't oppose 2023. That doesn't
Really?
sound terrible.
It sounds completely awful to me.
I don't dislike it.
And I think we've went back and reverted to the 2000 years too, because I don't say 2008 anymore. I say 2008.
Yeah, 2000.
Isn't that weird?
It's not that weird.
I think it's odd. It's also the year that the iPad was released.
I have my first iPad ever right now in 2023,
Yeah.
which is the 2022 edition. I cannot, like, that's crazy. 2010 was the first 12, that's 13 years ago.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not too long ago.
Yeah, but like, we say that's not too long ago, but like 13 years ago, think
Yeah.
about how old we were. I was like, what? I can't do
You
simple math
think you were
right now.
4,
No,
and I was 2.
I was probably like 11. Yeah, it's weird.
That would make you perfect for the next 2009 thing. In that One Direction, the English boy band was formed.
Yes.
What are you
Yes.
gonna say?
I loved them.
Really?
I loved them.
I didn't know this.
But I wasn't like a diehard Directioner. Like a lot of the girlies that
Was
I
that
went,
what a hardcore what?
Directioner.
What is that?
Like, that's what they called the girlies that loved them. Like, you know, like the Swifties for Taylor Swift. For One Direction, they were Directioners, I believe.
Did you have a favorite?
I'm really basic.
You're gonna say Harry.
It was Harry.
Of course it was Harry.
But I also really liked Niall as well.
Niall, right? I've been getting a lot of TikToks lately about like there was something, some fans theorized there was something between two of them.
Yeah.
And that they had a romantic
Yeah, I think it was Louis and somebody else.
Harry. And they call it Larry.
A lot of people had like weird fan fictions on like what I never read any because I never really was a fan fiction kind of girly
Yeah.
back in the day.
What about now?
I kind of am a fan fiction girly.
Is there any like certain franchise that you like?
What We Do in the Shadows.
Really?
So there's like there's a prediction amongst fans that Guillermo, who is the familiar, and Nandor, who is the vampire, like that they kind of have feelings for each other. So
Right.
I was reading like fan fictions about it because I really want it to happen.
Okay, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
As far as movies coming out this year, in 2010, it's Inception.
Hell yeah.
The Christopher Nolan film. I do not understand anything that happens in that movie. I don't know if you do.
No.
But it's definitely something. They got Alice in Wonderland.
Love it.
Came out in 2010. That
Tim
movie
Burton.
is creepy. It's weird.
I love it.
I don't know what's going on in that one. And Despicable Me.
I fucking love Despicable Me.
You're a big fan of the Minions.
I am a big fan of the Minions. I call me a Facebook mom. Won't answer. I love the little Minions, and I love that movie. Like my whole family, like we all quote it and stuff. Like
Really? Like, what do you? But they don't say. They don't talk.
No, not just. There's other characters in the movies, like
Okay.
Gru, played by Steve Carell. Like he does like this weird little accent in there, and he's like, "That's what I'm talking about." And so like we'll do that to each other, and then
You sound just like him, man.
I know. Call me. I mean, professional actress right here.
Yeah.
And then I think Jason Segel also does Vector, who is the villain in the movie, and then he there's like a teeny tiny toilet, and he's like, "Oh, look at the teeny tiny toilet, and then it splashes him in the face, and he's like, curse you, tiny toilet.
Yeah.
And then he's like, my name is Vector. Like I don't know. He does like a lot
Where
of
does
weird
this
things.
come up? You said you guys quote it all the time.
My family and I just quote random movie
You
quotes
just
to each
say
other.
toilet things. Okay. Yeah, I with Bailey, her family is similar. They haven't done as much quoting lately, but it's funny because it's kind of an insight thing. I feel like when families do that.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at them and you don't know the movies,
Yeah.
they're just saying random gunk and then they start laughing.
And Patrick's used to it by now because I will go around my family and I just quote movies like Cat in the Hat's a frequent one that I quote. I quote Elf.
Give me a cat in
nonstop.
hat quote.
It was ruined when she bought it. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, just lots of movies. Like we just quote it. It's like our language. That's our love language. We just
Do you
quote
think
movies.
movies are a lot less quotable nowadays?
No, I disagree
Oh.
with that. I think they're still just as quotable.
I don't hear modern quotes, I feel like, from a movie released in the last 10, 15 years.
It needs to have more rewatch value. Like it needs
Yeah.
to age a little bit more. But
Okay.
we quote a lot of movies.
Fair enough. Some songs that were topping the charts in 2010
no.
include TikTok by Kesha, Fireflies by Owl City,
Love that song.
and Bad Romance by Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, my heart.
I love that song in particular. Are you familiar with the music video for Bad Romance?
It's weird. from
Yeah,
what
it's
I
weird.
was
It's a
thinking.
completely white room, a lot of dancing.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. That's probably one of my favorite Lady Gaga songs,
Mine
especially
too.
of the time.
Love it.
This movie looks a little different than the other movies, I'd say. Like, we get the first scene opens up in like broad daylight.
Yeah, this in general was just so different from any other Saw movie that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was like, this has to be like a gag,
You know, everybody thought that. I also thought the first scene in the movie was like,
like a reenactment or something.
or like some attraction.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought.
They're in a glass thing.
So
What got
that
me
was-
off
that
is
was
when
my
people
big
were
complaint.
started calling the police. I'm like, whoa, maybe you're not supposed to call the police because this is
right,
a
it's
show.
performative.
Yeah. But apparently not. It was real.
Yeah, that was my biggest complaint about it. I was like, they wouldn't do that. Like our John Kramer would never do this.
Well, the idea was that it's not John Kramer,
That's fair, which is not, but still.
which is some other jigsaw that we'll find out about later. I really like this scene. The public execution trap is what it's called.
It's interesting.
What's weird to me is like it's somebody cheating essentially or playing two people.
I'm like, why is this rewarding of a death?
Yeah, right. Like everybody's cheated on their spouse before. Like it's not a big deal.
That's not what I'm
it
saying,
just happens.
but there is a large population
Yeah.
of people who are like adulterers. But
Yeah,
it's like
adultery's fine.
by our society
By Geraldine
standards.
standard, yeah.
No, not by Geraldine standard. I would never.
Okay, she says that.
Oh my god.
what I
I'm
like-
gonna kill you.
What I like about this scene is that, the whole thing is that there's a big saw in the middle. It's like a triangle.
Yeah.
With the two dudes who have been cheated on each side.
She's a player.
and then dangling on the top is the lady. Yeah,
she's a player until the very end.
the whole time.
The whole time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, you're messy.
So is this a girl slay moment here or no?
No, this is a girl fail moment.
Okay. Well, it does fail because she tries to get each of them to be like, because her game plan is like to get one of them to kill the other.
Yeah.
And then she survives.
Yeah.
But in doing so, like flip flopping between them, they realize they don't care about her, and they start pushing it towards her so
You know
they
what this
too can
is?
survive.
This is a total bros before hoes moment.
It really is. Yeah.
It really is. And you know what? Good for them.
You support it.
Good for them.
I'll remember that later on when I'm talking to your boyfriend. Now, I will say I really like a certain interaction between the two gentlemen.
Yeah.
I can't remember the names. I think one of them was Brett.
One of them was like, it's like total bro names. Like
Yeah.
Brad and like Ryan or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Or
But they-
imagine it's Brian and Ryan. That'd be really funny.
That'd be silly.
That'd be really silly. I love
They
it.
end up pushing it, like start working against her,
Mm-hmm.
and she asks them like, "What are you guys doing?" And one of them says, "I think we're breaking up with you, Tina." I thought that was so funny.
It was so good.
I love lines like
It
that.
was really. This one was a little bit more campy in some of those aspects, and I appreciated it. But also, in some ways, I'm like, this is not like the serious like Saw movie that we typically get. So I mean, it was a little bit more campy than I would have liked, but I did appreciate it because you're still like questioning your reality. Like, is this real?
I thought the gore was campy too.
I did
Is
too.
that weird? Like if we go back to Saw 3 and we think about the rack, like that just looks literally
Mm-hmm. Gnarly.
twisted.
Yeah.
But this one felt like a little.
Too simplistic, which I mean, it might be a testament to like I said, the movie poster, even like Bailey said, like living up to Jigsaw, like trying to like meet that level, like, and it's not ever gonna get there.
We have a weird like dream sequence trap that we've never seen before. Jill goes inside the pain train, is what it's called, and she's having like a nightmare about Hoffman, and we don't know it's a dream until after all.
It felt like Scary Movie for some reason to me. Like,
really?
Is
that a bad sign or a good sign?
I don't know. It felt like the Scary Movie, and like the way that she was dressed and stuff. She was in like whatever she was wearing to bed. Yeah. It just felt like very like I could imagine Pamela Anderson being in that scene, because they use Pamela Anderson a lot.
Scary Movie?
No, not Pamela Anderson. Carmen Electra, I think is her name.
Okay.
They use her a lot in the Scary Movies, and she's known for having like big boobs and stuff. And I can imagine her being in a scene like this in one of the Scary Movies if they haven't already done it.
Now, Betsy Russell is known for the same thing, I believe.
I didn't know that.
I'm not very familiar with Betsy Russell, but I've now become familiar with Betsy Russell in, the Saw franchise. And I looked into like other movies she's been in, and she's done like Full Frontal and other movies.
Really?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
I think it's called Private, and it's almost like a softcore porn kind of movie. Like, but I
think
for her. Yeah, she's a beautiful, lovely woman, and she was just wearing a night blouse,
a nightgown, I guess.
Yes. But her nipples were rock hard. And
I didn't even notice that, if I'm being honest.
Really?
I just noticed that her boobs
I couldn't notice anything else.
Ginormous in that scene, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, they're ginormous throughout some of this. Yeah,
but I just don't feel like she's typically wearing
she's covered up. She's a doctor.
Yeah, so I don't feel like we've ever seen that until right now, and I was like, I'm seeing a lot of Jill right now.
Yeah, we do see a lot of Jill. It's. At first, I was like, really? They're just going to get rid of Jill like that? Like,
I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah, and Hoffman's line was like, the only thing I regret about this is I can't kill you twice, or something like that.
It's so stupid. But like, if we're being real, that's how dreams are.
Yeah, maybe for you, I don't have dreams where I get like rammed by this giant thing on tracks.
Oh, well, I have insane dreams where I get killed. I kill other people.
You kill other people?
I did in one dream. And it was the most anxious I've ever been.
And then you woke up bloodthirsty?
No, but I also had a dream recently that it was so stupid. I had a dream that I was at like Universal Studio, like Universal, the amusement park. I've never been like in the full park. I've been to like the opening area where they have like little restaurants and stuff, and that's as far into the park that I've been, like little like shops and stuff. Mm-hmm. In my dream, there was this big chipmunk shaped thing, kind of like Chippendale, I guess. But it was it was about I don't my brain was like, yes, this is a ride. And like we were getting on the ride. It was me, my mom, and my brother in the dream, and it was called Tipsy Topsy Turvy. And I was like, oh yeah, it'll be fun. Well, I don't remember us getting like buckled into the ride or anything. No. And then we're like holding on for dear life, and it's like spinning all the way around and around. And my brother's like, why would you do this to us? And that was my, like, so like some of them are just weird.
So you were like in a trap, really?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It was weird. And then Jigsaw was also in my dream, but it was like a doll. And it was.
Does that stuff affect you when you like real life things come into your dreams? Like, let's say whenever we watch a franchise, we are committed to a lot of our brain spaces, like Jigsaw.
Sometimes, but I woke up and I was more like, WTF?
Yeah.
But it wasn't more like, it was kind of like creepy, but it wasn't like, I don't know.
Kind of alluring.
Yeah.
Go consider your like, feelings towards John
I love
Kramer.
when I have a really weird dream and then I can wake up and I'm like, that was weird. And I have to tell somebody about it, so then I'll type up the whole dream.
And then does anybody ever care?
No, not really.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'll tell Patrick about my dream and then he'll be like, yeah, that was weird. And then he just moves on. But to me, I'm like...
Yeah, sometimes you just have to tell somebody that.
Sometimes I'm like, my brain, the way that it works is so weird.
The horsepower trap is one of my favorite in the Saw franchise. It's the one where it's like a multi-people trap in like a car garage or something. It looks like a junkyard.
This was one of the best traps I've ever seen. One of the best traps.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
It was so like, oh my God. Like, it was painful to watch.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Well, but it was also like dope as fuck because I was like, okay, Hoffman, I see you. Right. Like, they're in this trap because they're racist. And I'm like,
yeah,
get them.
Yeah, they're racist. And I like the line that Jigsaw gives them. Mm-hmm. It's something along of like, we're all the same color on the inside.
Yeah.
And he's telling this to like racists. And the person playing Evan here is Chester Bennington, the lead singer for Linkin Park. It's super cool. He's like,
was he a big fan? Is that why they just like had him in there?
Or well, here, I'll let Chester say himself.
What?
Well, I mean, honestly, the first Saw film was the greatest horror film of all time, if you ask me. Anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. So automatically, it was like right from the very first movie, I just literally jumped right in. Anytime a new film came out, I was right there. The opening day of every one of the Saw films. So one of my band members' neighbor is Mark Berg, who produces the films, and I got brought up as being a huge fan of the Saw films, and he asked if I would want to be in the movie, and of course I said yes, because that's like the coolest thing ever, you know. So I jumped on the chance and just hoped that I wouldn't make an ass out of myself.
He did so good. That's crazy.
He did a great job.
He did a great job.
Natural.
Yeah.
And he looked fantastic. He was like, I don't even know what kind of glue they used to glue him to the chair.
Yeah.
But it was so bad that, you know, he has to pull a lever, but he is glued to this just skin, his back. So when he like pushes off the chair, his skin starts coming off of his back.
Ripping off.
Just
I was
ripping
like,
off, yeah. Great effect.
Yeah.
The tattoos that you see in this movie aren't his tattoos.
that's cool.
They were actually the artists who did all of Chester's tattoos. They're all copywritten.
Copywritten as in like they're based on movies and stuff, or like copywritten as in like that guy, that tattoo artist is like, you can't show my work.
Yep.
That's kind of bullshit.
No, it's not.
As an art, okay.
Picasso, you know, you got to pay.
Okay, yeah, but like you're paying to have this on your body, and I feel like now a lot of people would like that representation. Like, oh, that's cool ink. Where'd you get it? And you can be like, here's where I got my ink. That would be like,
Yeah, but there's
that'd
also
be like publicity for you. I just don't
sure,
understand that.
I know, but there's a thing with artists in general where a lot of people have that argument, like, "Hey, I want to commission you to do art, but I don't want to pay you for it. But you'll get so much exposure. Look how many followers I have." And that's just the value there is, and where. So maybe if the studio, maybe he asked for money. He was like, "Hey, I worked really hard on these tattoos, and like if you're going to be showing them, can you at least give me like some money?"
I can understand that. Okay.
And they might have not wanted to do it, but anyway, they decided to get a makeup team do a bunch of tattoos on him.
That's cool, too.
Which is really cool. I think they did a great job. The winner for the second season of Scream Queens, you know, the
that
Saw-based reality show contest show that I talked about on the last
Yeah.
episode, they were in this movie. They played Evan, Chester Bennington's girlfriend, who was sitting down beneath the car and had
with
a
the tire.
run across her face. But
Wild.
she's the winner of the second season of Scream Queens, which is really cool. I think I might actually look up Scream Queens to watch the season because
Yeah.
I think the premise is cool.
Well, I mean, you might run into Ryan Murphy's Scream Queens before you run into that one, I feel like. That's just a fun little goofy, campy show.
Okay.
So that one's really fun. Like, so whenever you said Scream Queens initially, the last episode, I was like, oh, Scream Queens. I know that show. Mm-hmm. No, completely
It's a
different show. Different show. But this does sound so fun, and I really wish they would continue it.
Who knows if Saw 10 or Socks, if it does good, then
Socks.
maybe we'll get a third season,
I would love to.
and then you can go
We
on.
also still had the first season's Scream Queen back in this film.
Oh yeah, you're right. She came back because they end up having like a little therapy session. Looks like, what do you call it?
Survivors of Saw.
Yeah,
Like a
we get to
group
see a lot of
session.
familiar faces. We get to see Malik again from Saw 5, which I like him. I don't know why I like him.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see him.
But I did enjoy seeing him back. We get to see Brian and Brad from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
They're back there in the circle, as well as
I know the mom from Saw 6, Tara, at the end of the movie.
yeah, you're right. She was in it back.
She was in there.
And most importantly, Geraldine,
Oh, yes.
Dr. Gordon.
Dr. Lawrence Gordon.
He's there.
He's
back after so many movies.
I literally was so happy because I was like, I know I had asked you after the first movie because, you know, you were like, oh, yeah, they weren't planning to make any sequels with this.
Yeah.
And I was like, but what happened to him? Because, like, in theory, he would have escaped. In theory.
Yeah, in
and then I
theory.
was like, okay. But then they also had one of the opening scenes, like the opening credits, I believe, with him, like, burning his leg.
Like salt. What is it called when you do that?
Cauterizing?
Cauterizing, yeah.
Because you want it to stop the bleeding. So
Yeah.
he's, of course, a
He
doctor.
found a
So
steamy
he's smart.
pipe, a really hot pipe, and then just shoved his leg into it.
God, it looked painful.
Looked very painful. He looked just as pale as he did in the first movie.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah.
The continuity.
It's
I
like
love
right,
it.
like immediately after the events of Saw 1, we get this scene all the way in Saw 7.
Yeah. It was very rewarding because after like watching these movies back to back, like you're building a relationship with these characters and you're growing attachments and you're like, cool. cool. This makes
It
sense.
is like
And
a
then-
Saw family. Like it is like,
Yeah.
you know, unlike other horror franchises, like we just got finished with Leatherface, the story is continuous throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's not like a different thing every movie. It's just the same story.
which is like, again, as a person who enjoys a good story, this is very, very nice for me. I was like, yes.
What did you think of seeing that in the first like scene of the movie? Did you have any expectations? Because honestly, he wasn't in the movie too much.
Yeah.
You know, he got 3 like scenes essentially.
Yeah, 3 total scenes. I was excited. I was like, okay, maybe we'll get a little bit more of an explanation. We'll get to see him in this movie at some point. I was like, it's kind of nice that they're kind of, you know, wrapping that in a bow.
Did you
a
think
little
of
bit.
any like? Do you think does he have something to do with the twist in this movie?
I did not.
Do you have any prediction?
No.
No?
I just thought it was going to be really cool that we were going to get to see him.
And it was cool. I like seeing Dr. Gordon here. Not the bad. I didn't know he wasn't American.
I hated him so much. He plays a very annoying but good annoying character, you know?
I didn't think he was that annoying to me.
I had a feeling because when he was talking about the trap, like in this support group, I was
He
like,
had
this
hooks.
does not sound like a saw trap to me. It's not as intense.
Yeah, I mean, it
But,
sounds like a lot. Yeah, I mean, putting hooks through your what is this? What is this?
Yeah, oh, like through his chest. In my brain,
What is it called? Petra?
pectorals.
Pectorals. There we go.
But like, in my brain, the way that he was describing it, I imagined it like going through the back and through the chest somehow.
But it's just
With
like
more
almost
support.
surface level skin.
Yeah, just-
the muscle right there on the top.
And I was just like, this is not. I don't know. Things weren't
So
adding
you
up.
were already
wasn't-
onto something.
The math wasn't mathing for me.
Right.
So I was like, I bet this motherfucker made it up.
He's been lying.
Made it up for clout.
He wrote a book, and he's been getting a lot of press coverage, going on these tours, going on the news, telling everybody his inspirational story about how he survived a saw trap and how it changed his life.
The funniest thing about this movie, and it didn't register because I had seen this picture before, and then now I've seen it, and I was like, okay, now I know where that's from.
Oh, okay.
Was a meme of John Kramer trying to look cool and nonchalant, but he doesn't look cool at all. It was so cringy, but it was
It
so
is
funny.
interesting because yes, Jigsaw does. John Kramer gets a book signing, you
Yeah.
know, from this gentleman because obviously he knows that Bobby ain't telling the truth here. He's never been in a saw trap.
Yeah.
But he tries to look like a 17-year-old in 2002.
It's so funny. I can't take
He's
it.
supposed to look like he listens to Korn and Limp Bizkit, and I don't know why he's wearing this stuff.
It literally sent me. I was dying. I was laughing. I was like, John, what are you doing?
A lot of people I've heard equate it to a skit, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I forget the actor's name. I think Buscemi. Buscemi has a
Steve
skit.
Buscemi?
Yeah, he has a
Love
skit
him.
where he's like tries to dress all young and hip, and approach like, "Hey, young whippersnappers," like trying to coincide with like their vernacular. And yeah, he does look a little goofy. Jigsaw, not your best look.
Not your best look, but it's funny and I loved it. And somebody had made a meme about it, and they were like, how we feel with Blink 182 coming back out
That
of
is
concert,
so
and a
funny.
new Saw movie coming
Yeah.
out this year. And it was like that photo, and I was like, now I get it. That's really funny.
It all comes back. You know, we had 80s and 90s nostalgia. We're starting to get the 2000s kick, you know, like you said,
Yeah.
with Blink coming back and everything.
Crazy, but that literally killed me. It was nice to see John Kramer though in this movie again. I
This
was
is the
like,
one I feel like he's the least in so far.
He is, but I mean, you know,
Barely
they
in
use
it.
this iconic voice. It's kind of like, you know, all of the Scream movies. You know, Ghostface has that voice.
You're right. Same
you know,
voice each movie.
Same voice. They bring that guy back every movie, so he probably makes a fucking killing just talking.
Yeah.
Hello, Sydney. Like, amazing.
It's pretty good. Yeah, you do a
Like,
good
you'd
job.
recognize the voice anywhere.
Can you do the Jigsaw voice?
It's not good.
Can you hit me with it though?
Hello, Frankie.
Can you do the Hello Sydney again?
Hello, Sydney.
Not too far off. Not too
Not too
far
far
off.
off.
No.
I mean, it's hard. I don't have the bass that I need in my voice to
yeah,
make
most
it.
of the killers are like men in all these movies, huh?
I want a badass, like badass, legendary woman slayer. Bring
Yeah.
it, please.
Maybe it'll be
we
you
do.
one day.
We do actually have one that we'll get to at some point. It's a very small franchise, but it will be getting bigger, I
Okay.
imagine. And she's iconic. Love her, Lady Killer.
Okay.
We love it.
Well, I'm excited to get to it. Now, because of this Bobby fellow, it's another trap. It's another movie like the last film where it's one guy going through across a bunch of different rooms.
Yes.
And this time it's like his whole team, like his publicist, his lawyer,
His wife.
his wife, so
BFF.
yeah, his friend that led him on. He kind of gave him the idea in the first place.
It was so cool because I had no idea what to expect. And then once we started getting the people, like, this was the first movie we've ever gotten where it doesn't end well. It doesn't bode well for this man. Bobby Dagan really gets like I thought it was kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. But it was just because like we've never gotten that. So I was like, damn, like this man's really like bad at going through saw traps.
The last person that we had, a lot of people actually felt empathetic with the Saw 6 protagonist.
I did, yeah.
You did? You kind of felt like he learned his lesson?
Well, I felt like he eventually learned it, and he was like, yeah, like I know that I'm doing a bad thing, but like so he was conscious of it as he was doing the bad things. But I think now like he's seeing like the repercussions and like seeing the pain that he actually causes. This guy, I don't know. I feel like he does see it, but like maybe not. Maybe it's just like, oh shit, I put us in this like predicament. Like he feels responsible for everyone's death, which I mean, he kind of is.
One of the first traps that we see is the Silent Circle, which reminded me of Silent Library on MTV. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
I've only seen one episode of that.
Yeah, where they have to keep quiet in a library. Same thing, except in this one, if you don't keep quiet, you'll have like 4 big pipes come at your neck.
This one, oh man, hurt.
Which is okay, but I think the worst part is actually that, you know, she has a fish hook.
Yeah.
And the key is in her stomach, and he has to pull out the fish hook from inside her.
Literally, I was like I felt like I was like watching it come out of my throat. I was like,
I've definitely done the thing where like I've been eating ramen and like like a super long noodle, bro, like the longest noodle you've ever seen. And so like it's so long, but it's halfway down my throat and part of it's still in my mouth. I don't know what to do. I can't swallow anymore. So I take it from inside my mouth and I start pulling it out, and I could feel it coming out my throat.
Stop!
You've never done that?
Bro, I just keep swallowing it. I can't.
Sometimes it's all you can swallow, bro.
I just know what you're talking about, so it's just so
you felt
funny. It's so yes.
Oh, there we go.
Man.
See,
That's so funny.
Fish hook though is a lot more difficult. I can only imagine.
Oh my god, ouchie!
Yeah,
Like
ouchie.
big ouchie.
Yeah, but she wasn't able to do it, unfortunately, or just barely. But he kind of fumbled with the key a little bit.
He fumbled the bag, but also, to be fair, she also wouldn't shut the fuck up, and that was the big thing. And he was like, "If you would have just shut the fuck up," and I was like, "True, if she would have."
You and telling women to shut the f up. You were like this in Jenna Ortega, Scream 6.
No, I mean in general, people are in general in every horror movie I've ever watched in my life, they're always like, and they need to just be quiet. Again, if I'm in the situation, I know I'm going to be doing the same thing. So I'm just talking
You're just a
shit.
hypocrite,
I'm
yeah.
just talking
Fair
shit,
enough.
and in IRL, would I be doing the same? Yes, you know I would, but I just got to complain about it because it makes you feel better. But I was like, I mean, he do be right. He literally was like, you literally need to stop. You need to be quiet because every time you do that, and it literally was in the instructions. People just don't follow instructions. That drives me nuts.
Yeah, and that's the Saw like theme. Like nobody ever listens.
Nobody ever listens.
Nobody ever listens.
But I mean, if I'm being honest, a lot of these traps were like, it felt like they were designed for his like failure, because there wasn't a good way to go about them at all at any point.
You know what? I kind of agree with you. I'm not quite sure who set these traps up.
Well, it's got to be Hoffman.
You think it's Hoffman?
Yeah,
Okay. The next trap we get is the impalement wheel,
that was fun.
which looks very difficult. Looks like a workout machine kind of deal,
Yeah,
where he has to like, you know, crank this thing up, but like, he gets impelled in the sides.
I couldn't do it.
I think I could do it.
I don't think I could do it.
Now, I was so confused because like the victim here on the other side, I think it's this lawyer, and the whole traps are based around the theme of the 3 wise monkeys, the see no evil, hear no evil.
Speak no
Speak no
evil.
evil.
That went way over my fucking head. I'm a dummy, dude.
You are a big dummy. And this one had like 3 pipes in it. And I'm like, what's with all the pipes? And I came to learn the shot was so uninteresting in my opinion. It was just like 3 pipes, like, cause she was on a wheel that was slowly coming across terms with 3 pipes directly lined up with her mouth and eyes. And as it was approaching, it would show a shot of just the pipes, the 3 tiny little pipes. And I'm like, why am I looking at this? Well, it's because it was 3D. That was coming at the audience too, not just the victim.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, kind of. I was like, I get it.
Yeah. It was wicked though when it did impel her eyes and mouth.
I don't know. It gave me more anxiety though, because when she saw them, she was just like, ah, screaming, and I was like, it's gonna go straight in your mouth, man. Like just be quiet. Just stop.
What is
Stop.
wrong with you? You're such a victim blamer.
No, I'm not.
You literally are.
I just feel like they give me anxiety, man. This movie gave me the most anxiety out of all of the Saw movies combined.
I think I kind of agree. The Hangman's Noose, the next one is his best friend, gave me anxiety. Because it was literally instructions, and like he was freaking out.
And then he fumbled the bag again.
Oh, that's so. Could you imagine?
Like, he killed everybody. He killed all of his people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you did this.
I'm so interested in how like you're not empathetic with Bobby at all. Like, did you come across a Bobby in real life or something?
No, this is clout chasing before clout chasing. You know what I mean?
You don't like clout chasers.
I don't like clout chasers. Like, I don't like people who like take a story, claim it as their own, and just, they do that for like monetary value, monetary gain, for like, I don't know, audience, a
I've
platform.
done it before.
Have you?
Yeah, I remember. I think it was like around like the second grade or something. Kids.
Okay.
Well, kids would take turns with like, oh, this is super cool. Like, what a Mega Block set.
Yeah.
That like everybody wanted to use,
Okay.
and like you could only like certain kids could use it or whatever.
Okay.
Or certain times or whatever. And somebody mentioned like, oh, I'm not gonna do this. Never mind.
No, you gotta tell me this. I've told him so many embarrassing stories. Come on.
Okay. I'm always looking
Okay.
for like the next thing, right?
Okay,
You know, like I like
trends.
attention. I'm doing a podcast.
Right,
I like
trends. We love
doing the
trends.
podcast. And when you're young, you want to be the cool guy,
Right.
right?
You want to be popular. I mean, that's
So when a kid says like that he built something with some Mega Blocks, right? And you see like the attention he gets.
Okay.
You step in, and you expose the truth that you're actually the one that built this thing with the Mega Blocks, even though it's not true. And somehow everybody believes you, and so no, you're the cool kid that built all this stuff with the Mega Blocks, and the other kid can go suck it. He can go F off or whatever. And yeah, I got a lot of clout, and I'm proud of it. So I don't regret any of it.
You know what? Good for you.
Thank you. See,
That was very girl boss of you.
sometimes bullying works.
Sometimes it does,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sometimes it's okay, guys. I'm just kidding. Hey, we've all done that. And also, you were in the second grade.
Yeah.
This guy is like well into his 30s and he's like clout chasing. That's different. I feel like for you, like, especially to lie about a traumatic thing, that's different. That's completely different, like, level. Like, that clout chasing, that's great. That's funny. Like, good for you.
Thank you.
But
I appreciate it. I'll keep it in mind. Keep doing it. Bully you sometimes.
you bully me all the time. But, like, this guy is like, yeah, I survived this terrible, painful thing. And all these people, like, literally, a lot of these people who are in this support group have, like, lost limbs, have, like, had to sacrifice something on
You're
their
right,
body.
actually, yeah, but he hasn't.
He didn't.
No.
And he had fake, like, scars. I was wondering, is it, like, makeup? Like, how did he...
They don't look intense. He takes his shirt off, like, look at my scars. And they just look like little pricks on his chest.
Like, I knew it was a lie. As soon as we started getting into it, I was like, That's why Tobin Bell.
You're right. It wasn't Jigsaw.
It wasn't Jigsaw.
It was this lie that he created in his head. The wisdom teeth thing, I didn't think it was particularly... It was just random to me.
It was random. It felt like it was just something to appease the fans. I didn't like it. I was like, it just hurt me to watch, though, as well. So that was more like a ewy.
Yeah. I
And
still
an
have
owie.
all my wisdom teeth.
I
You
have
feel
like
them?
two wisdom teeth.
Now, this last trap, well, second to last, technically, I have kind of certain feelings about because I think it's super unfair.
It is super unfair.
Because his wife has done nothing. She didn't even know that he was
This last
lying.
trap actually pissed me off.
She didn't even know that he's been lying about this the whole time. She thought he's been telling the truth.
Yeah, I don't think she should have been punished at all. But I mean, I guess
She gets broiled in an oven, a giant oven that looks like it's about to take off into space. How big it is?
here's why it pissed me off, though.
Okay,
Here's why it pissed me off.
tell me, why did it piss you off?
So not only are we getting like they actually make him go through what he said he went through. Obviously, it didn't hold up. He's pulling himself up, and that was tough.
He has to do the trap that he lied about telling in the book.
Which I love. That's ultimate punishment. I don't think it should have been at his wife's expense.
Me too.
Should have been at his own expense. Like, the final trap, can you live? Like, that would have been perfect.
And Jigsaw has an attitude about this one. He's like, oh, you've done it before. Surely you can do it again.
Yeah, I kind of like that, though. I kind of like the attitude.
And then while he's doing it, he's almost doing all the way up, like getting like those hooks in his chest. And then it fucking tears off his body.
Ouchie, first of all. Just big ouchie.
Yeah.
But then instead of like doing anything about it, trying to climb up the chains at all or find some way around it, his wife like goes into the thing, starts dying, and she's screaming for him, and he's just like crying, watching her die. And I'm like, you motherfucker.
He couldn't have done anything at this point.
You didn't deserve her anyway.
I mean, I can't argue
So I
with
was
that one.
just more mad about it because, like, if my person was like literally about to die, I will do anything at that level to make sure I get
Would
that
you
feel.
jump into the oven?
I would have rather jumped into the oven to save him. Take me instead.
You guys would both be broiled.
At least we'd be broiled together.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Romantic, huh? In a horror movie.
Yeah.
Can't ask for much more. Now, all this stuff is going on with Bobby. Meanwhile, we have like a competition between Jill and Hoffman.
This was fun, actually. This was really well done.
I think it's better done than the whole Strom Hoffman thing in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like there's more of like this justified like cat and mouse kind of thing that they have going on.
Jill is being like hunted essentially.
Yeah. But like also makes sense though, because like the last time we see what Jill did to Hoffman, it was the reverse bear trap. So he's like literally out for blood at this point. He's like, you got me, I got you, boo.
He's on a killing rampage.
Love
like,
it.
All he wants is Jill to be dead.
I mean, unfortunately, they throw in like a random like Detective Gibson. We didn't meet him in the previous movies. It was not necessary.
It's
it was
so
stupid.
weird. Detective Gibson. I'm like, okay, fine. Eventually, I accept him.
Yeah.
Detective Gibson is in it, but the way they get rid of him is so unceremonious, and I hate it when movies do that. By the way,
It's like,
where
why
like they
would
tell
you-
me to like care about a character, but the way they dispose of the character is so meaningless and like.
It was like, why did you even get me to care about them at all?
Yeah,
Why did you even
exactly.
introduce them? It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, so I wasn't a big fan of the whole.
I wasn't either. I thought it was stupid. But I digress. Anyway, like, while this is all happening, Mastermind Hoffman, like, he did really, really well in this movie.
I like the complexity.
Honestly, I think I wrote something down about it. Like, and this might also be like unpopular opinion. I was like, I don't know if it's just me, but Hoffman was kind of hot in this one.
What happened? So are you switching over from the Stromny army to the
No.
Hoffmaniacs?
No, I'm kind of like in the middle.
Okay, that's very interesting that you
But
say.
I don't
What
know.
about Hoffman in this movie became more appealing to
I think
you?
it's just because he was more angry.
I think you're right. I
I think it was just like his like vengeance. I was like, okay, Detective Hoffman.
I have a friend. I won't name them by name.
Okay.
But when the new Predator movie came out this year,
Okay.
they were super into it because they were like you said, they were just like so vengeful and like so.
Mm-hmm.
They found a person I think they liked, like a human they were okay with, and they protected them at all costs.
Okay.
And that did it for them, despite Predator having the face that they have. It's all alien like.
We all like what we like.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And we totally harped on Hoffman's like look, but I don't know, something about him in this movie worked.
Yeah, he kind of has a different hairstyle too in this one a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he came off as more intelligent in this one.
Yeah,
because his whole
he
plan
thought
to
everything out
get
this time.
back into like the police station with like setting explosives off in the junkyard so he can like sneak
Epic.
into one of the body bags.
That was so fucking cool. I didn't expect it.
No, they take the body bag thinking it's one of the victims all the way to the
And
station.
The fact that he's just like, and they unzip it, and then he's like,
Stab.
I was like, ah!
Yeah, just this little tiny knife
That was
just
fun.
going on a rampage at the police station.
So dope.
And he ends up putting the bear trap, the original reverse bear trap that was on
Yes.
Amanda, on Jill.
I was shook because we've never seen it go off.
And we got to see it go off.
We did,
finally.
and I was like, that was cool as fuck. That was cool
Oh.
as fuck. Did she deserve it? No.
No.
But it was so cool to see her go out like that.
Yeah, it was cool to see it used, and like you could still see her tongue in her mouth.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, like she
Cool.
had no face.
yeah.
It was
Destroyed her
it was
face.
intense. Like it's super because we've been waiting for that thing to go off for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So much anxiety watching it. It was so good.
but unfortunately for Hoffman, he thinks he's got everything figured out.
He's like, I did that. I'm Jigsaw. Meanwhile, we get another cool twist.
We get a cool twist because he's burning everything up, disposing everything. He's about to cop town. Like, he already killed Jill. He's free.
He's like, yeah, babe, on my way out. Psych.
Yeah, he gets knocked out by 3 gentlemen in a
3
pig
little
mask.
pigs.
Yes, and one of them pulls their mask off.
Okay, but my biggest gripe about the scene is that we get one mask pull off. Who are the other 2?
There's a few theories. So here is my preferred theory is that this reveals that there's a cult of Jigsaw, and like that we don't know who those 2 other people are, but it implies that it hasn't just been Hoffman this whole time. Like, there's like a whole cult that have been seeing Jigsaw in the news, never been in traps, but agree with his message that only we can help ourselves.
Okay.
So that's one theory. Another theory is that that one of them is Adam, and that the body that you see in the bathroom
It's not really Adam.
is not really Adam. That it's
That
just a
would be
fake.
so
And that
cool.
Adam has been the one taking all those black and white photos throughout all the movies so far,
That
because he's a photographer.
I would be deceased if it came back true.
I would love to see Lee Whannell back in these movies.
Please.
I love him. I don't know why, but I do.
Please, if that's true.
The third theory involves a little bit of time travel.
Okay.
So the third theory contemplates that the first scene that you saw in the movie was old. Like, that scene with the public execution came after Saw 1. And that though the Brad and Chad in that movie, whatever their names are, Brad and Chad is what I want to call them, they were the ones that were in those 2 other pig masks. And that trap was set up by Lawrence, by Dr. Gordon himself. That
Okay.
was his first trap. And that Brad and Chad have been with him the whole time.
Why would he choose to recruit them? I wonder why. If that is a true theory.
I don't know. I don't think they choose too much who they recruit. It's more like who's the most susceptible, who takes the message the best, like Amanda did, like Hoffman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I would hate if it were revealed that it were an actual cult. I feel like that wouldn't do justice, because I feel like John Kramer himself was like so particular in who he like recruited. And now spoiler alert, I've gone ahead and watched the next movie, and that's a big gripe that I have about the next movie. It's just we'll talk about it for sure, but it felt random to me.
Okay. But yeah, like,
yeah.
and all that hidden, I explained all that without mentioning going back to like the one face reveal that we did get. It's Dr. Gordon. Dr. Gordon takes off a pig mask.
And then we kind of get like a little bit of a backstory, and it goes back to like Saw 1 after everything happened. And Jigsaw like patches him up, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to use you, which makes so much sense.
Yeah. He's a doctor.
It makes sense why things were so like, because he knows everything. He knows like the spots, especially like for Saw 4 with Riggs going through the trap and like the person, like the x-rays.
Anatomy. Putting the pipes to the right parts of the body to keep one
yes.
safe but kill the other.
That makes so much
Yeah,
sense.
he's
why
been the
he
one
would,
putting the keys behind all the people's eyes and in their stomachs.
like,
Yeah, because
I
he's a
was
doctor.
like, John Kramer, you motherfucking genius.
I did like this ending. I'm a fan of it because we get to
Yeah.
see Carrie Elways again.
Yeah.
And I think he and Lee Whannell, to me, are both beloved in this franchise. And
Yes.
to finally get to see him again, find out what happened, and turns out he like gets the last laugh, essentially, is awesome.
It was dope as hell.
And he brings him all the way back to the bathroom from the first movie. Throws away the saw. I know it's just a 3D thing, but I thought it was epic when
It
he
was
picks up
epic.
the hacksaw and he's
It-
like, no, not this time. And then does the iconic game over.
It was so good. It was so chef's kiss. I was like, yes, well done.
So you appreciated his return.
Very much so. It was very, very fun.
Okay, here's Carrie Elways talking about his return to the franchise.
Well, I thought I would bookend the series. This is the last one, and I think the fans really. I mean, I have to thank the fans. Really, they're the ones who brought me back. I mean, they've been writing me and writing the producers and blogging about it forever and saying what happened to Dr. Gordon, and so in the end, the filmmakers decided that it would be a nice way to bookend the series to really answer that question that was on everyone's mind.
So yeah, he comes back. He's in the first one. He's in the last one.
Love it. My brain was like, okay, so if this is quote unquote the ending, but it's really not because we get more movies. My brain's like, okay, so does this mean that Dr. Gordon is the new Jigsaw? Question mark.
Well, the whole idea is that like maybe I like it when movies end a little bit vague and like keep going because the future. This is the final chapter in the sense of like this is the end of the story revolving around like Hoffman, Strom, Dr. Gordon. Like this is where like their arcs all kind of come to an end. What comes after this is kind of like up to who knows what happens. Maybe because I like how it ends too. That like Jigsaw isn't caught technically. Like there's also like there's been traps going on since John Kramer died, and it's implied that there's going to be traps to go on. Even if something happens to Dr. Gordon, we saw 2 other people in pig masks.
It's true.
So we don't know, like it's going to keep going.
You know what's cool to me though is that like John Kramer has been in the face of like the authorities several times. Like literally he himself in the face of the authorities, and they have yet to like lock this man up.
Things. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Dr. Gordon, I mean, they suspected him from the first movie.
They did.
And, he got away. Like, he wasn't
at the time, he wasn't in on it. So that's crazy that is like the revelation that we've come to. And I was like, whoa, that was so cool.
Wasn't it?
It was worth it. Like, I was like, okay. I
too.
like this writing.
I'm glad that we both enjoyed the movie.
Very much so.
Now, let's get to our trap rankings.
Oh, man, this one's going to be tough. Because
Now-
there's so many gnarly ones.
Honestly, there's a lot of crazy ones in this one.
Yeah.
But for me, it's down to 2
Okay.
or really 3. I'll give you my top 3.
Okay.
My top 3 are the Brazen Bull, the one where his wife got into an oven, essentially.
Oh, I did not like that one.
The Reverse Bear Trap again.
Okay.
And the Horsepower Trap with all the
Okay.
cars.
I'm with you on the horsepower. That's probably the one that I would vote as the most like it was the coolest one so far. In the
It's
movie.
just cool because it's like 4 different people like in the same trap.
Yeah.
And it's like one
person-
after the other.
Yeah. Oh man, it was nice. And then I think the second one that I would have to rank would have to be the silence one. Just
Yeah.
because that one was painful to watch for me.
The fish hook.
Yeah, it was just painful. So those would be my 2.
Okay,
But
then I'll meet you at the Horsepower Trap.
I'm down for that because it was so cool. I was,
was
like,
super cool.
and also it's Chester Bennington.
It's cool to see Chester.
R.I.P. to a legend.
I loved Linkin Park growing up. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
the first bands I got into in middle school. Like when you're first finding out your own music or whatever,
Right.
Linkin Park was one of the first for me. So to see him in this movie was amazing, fun, great to hear him that he was a big fan.
That is really cool because I mean, typically when I see like a well-known like music artist like that in a franchise like that, my brain immediately assumes they had to have been a fan or something.
Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that he had the opportunity. Also, the last movie, he got to be in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you on picking the Horsepower Trap. Where do you want to rank it across the boards? Our current rankings are number 1, the Rack. Number 2, the Carousel. Number 3, the Needle Pit. Number 4, the Reverse Bear Trap. Number 5, the Glass Coffin. And number 6, the Bedroom Trap.
It was so intense. It wasn't as intense as the Rack, in my opinion, because that was one person's punishment. This is 4 different people. The Carousel was pretty gnarly in that sense too, but
Yeah.
that was one person picking 2 out of the 6.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension in there.
I don't know. This is tough. Where would you personally rank
I'm
it?
looking at this list, right? And
Yeah.
I'm coming across a few different things.
Okay.
I think it's a top 3 trap.
I'm with you there.
I think it's a top 3 trap. I think number 1, the Rack has an emotional substance. I think number 2, the Carousel has just like a humanitarian substance. Like just, the whole, it really implores this health insurance, you pick who lives or dies theme. And I enjoy that a lot. I think this one is a lot more interesting and complicated, the Horsepower Trap. But I think there's just so much humanity in the Carousel, the Shotgun Carousel.
Yeah.
That I'd put the Horsepower Trap at number 3.
I would agree with that. It's really cool because it's like, not only do we get like a little bit more, like the first trap that we see in the movie, I feel like it's just kind of dumb in like terms of like why they're being punished. This one was very cool because it's like, you guys are all racist. I was like, whoa, we've never gotten anything like
and
that.
I like that line, like you'll all
all the
same
same.
color on
Yeah.
the inside, yeah. Which is red.
Red and pink.
Yeah.
They say that in Anchorman. On the inside, we're all the same. Stinky and pink.
Yeah, that's right.
which is true because I'm sure we're all stinky.
Now it's time for the movie rankings, Carolyn.
Okay.
I'll give you my little spiel first, and
Okay.
I'll explain to you some of my problems. I feel like I had two experiences when I watched this movie.
Okay.
Like when I watched it, I enjoyed it. It was very engaging for me. And while I did have some questions later on, I had a blast just watching the movie.
Me too.
But when I started thinking about it, for me, like this is my second experience about the movie, and I went back to like thinking of all the things that I thought like, wait, what's up with this? I think about how like the A plot and the B plot kind of had nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, they were.
Like Bobby going through his things
Yeah.
and like the whole Hoffman and Jill other story. I feel like neither of them really connected much, where in the past movies, it all like came colliding at the very end. And I feel like this movie, unfortunately, didn't fill any of that.
Okay.
Especially with the twist. It had nothing to do with the twist. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost like two different movies happening at the same time.
I kind of agree with you there.
Another issue that I had is what we talked about Gibson. It's like he's like one of our main protagonists. He's like our detective. And then he dies randomly because he walks into a room and then super un-Jigsaw gets killed by a turret gun.
Yeah.
That is not like mechanical. That is not like
Yeah.
a trap. And so I wasn't a big fan of that. The wife being killed for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Like she did nothing, had nothing to do with the crime at all, but she still got punished. Not very Jigsaw to me. My last thing is that the big twist of this movie, the big Dr. Lawrence Gordon reveal, had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Right.
It's super. I love the scene.
Yeah.
I love to get to see him back, but like Hoffman is just as shocked as we are.
yeah.
Like it's just like it's kind of like rammed in there at the end. Like it's fanfare, and while I do enjoy it and it does work on me, I do kind of think it's undeserved.
Yeah.
The
They
reaction that
hadn't-
it gets.
They hadn't like earned. Well, I guess. Well, Saw 6 was so much better than Saw 5. I felt like
Yes.
they had earned something of that nature, something of that like intensity, but. I'm kind of with you there, where it was like, oh well,
So I'm struggling with this one a little bit as far as giving it a number. It's definitely better than Saw 5, right?
Right.
But we love Saw 6. You know, I gave Saw
Yeah.
6 a 9. You gave it a 10. So we really enjoyed that movie. I don't know if it's better than Saw 6 for me because I feel like Saw 6 is a lot tighter.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has so much range. Saw 7, the final chapter 3D, has like, I feel like the good parts are great.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like nitty gritty stuff that you could pick at it, I feel like. So I can't quite give it a 9, I don't think. I think I'm going to end up with giving it an 8, which is the same thing I gave Saw 4.
after thinking about it and after like our conversations about it, like when my first initial watch through, I was like 10. This is fucking perfect.
Okay.
But then like now that we've talked about it and like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh yeah, these were some problems that I did come up with in my head about it. I'm kind of with you there. I would say it's gonna be an 8 for me as well.
Okay. So that ties it up with Saw 4. So now we have to decide which one we like more, Saw 7 or Saw 4.
Saw 4 was more enjoyable, but Saw 4 had a lot of meaning.
Yeah, Saw 4 we had Detective Rig going across all
And I
these.
loved following Rig, but I think there's like this evil in me that was kind of like, it was kind of rewarding to see Bobby Dagan suffer a little bit,
Yeah, you really enjoyed that.
just because.
I
Like,
wonder if you were putting your brother
no,
into this because Dagan, you know.
no, I was not. I just thought the name was kind of funny because I was like, oh, Bobby Dagan. I never really heard Dagan at all. It's
Sure,
really
sure.
weird. But no, his character was just super stupid.
So which one are you going for? Which
hated
one's
him.
better for you, Saw 4 or Saw 7?
It was rewarding in the because we've never really seen a lot of people get like an unfair, undeserving demise.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, some of these people did deserve it. At least the first 3, and then his wife didn't deserve it. But with Saw 4, I mean, those deaths were deserved.
Yeah, the bedroom trap.
So it's got to go underneath Saw 4 because we get a lot of like undeserved deaths, I would say. So it's got to be number 6 on the list.
Okay, number 6 are now new standings from best to worst are number 1 Saw 3, number 2 Saw 6, number 3 Saw 2, number 4 Saw, number 5 Saw 4, number 6 Saw 7, and last place at number 7 Saw 5.
Expected.
Sorry, Saw 5. But so far it looks like it's like we've rated these movies pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like fairly well. Like the only one we really didn't like was Saw 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I was like, this was not enjoyable for me.
No, but there's some stuff in that movie that I still really like the
Yeah.
Fatal 5 and all the traps they had to do, putting their hands inside that saw thing,
Yeah, it was
the
dope.
pint of blood, super cool. But yeah, Geraldine, now we only have a few more.
literally we're on to Jigsaw next, and then Spiral, and then we have to go to the theater.
Go to the theater to see
Socks.
Yeah, Saw Socks, Saw 10, Saw X, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know what to expect because I know that Jigsaw and Spiral are two different movies that have really nothing to do
With these seven.
And I know Saw 10 does have to do with these 7.
So we'll see where things end up. I'm excited.
I'm
so
excited.
happy we get to see the continue of this like so far after the fact. Like this movie came out 2010. It's 13 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's been so long, and we get to catch up, find out what's been happening in the world of Jigsaw. We'll see you guys next time. Go follow us on TikTok, Instagram at Fright Flight Pod. Send us an email, send us a DM, whatever you'd like. Leave a comment, and we have some reels, some TikToks up if you guys want to go catch them.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
And then we'll also see you at the theater.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Fright or Flight, a Live Oaks Village production. This episode was hosted by Geraldine Johnson and Saul Alberto Arizmendi Ochoa, edited and produced by me, Bailey B., and music composition by Saul Alberto Arizmendi Ochoa.